The precursors of language. Introducing group-wise reconfiguration of memory parameters, the latency ratchet, and displacement. Language has some curious aspects to the way it works. One such aspect is the blend of provisionality and certainty found in many statements. As an illustration, suppose someone came up and said, "This ship has a dynamic profile." Sounds like they know what they're talking about. They're describing a definite and certain thing. The sense conveyed is that there are people who know what a dynamic profile actually is, despite the fact that we ourselves may not. What are the specific details of a dynamic profile? We don't know. As far as we are concerned, the details are provisional. But this provisionality does not disturb us, because there is an underlying assumption that there are people who know what it means and that the details could be filled in as required. It's a curious blend of provisionality and certainty. How is this made to happen at the biological level? Since we could imagine an alternative manifestation of language in which words had a fixed and concrete meaning that doesn't change. When someone said a word, we would know its exact and concrete reflection of something in the outside world. But that's not how language works. Another curious aspect of language is the blend of externality and internality of words. For example, suppose a person wanted to talk about six-sided shapes but wasn't sure of the right word to use. The person may well come up and ask, "What is the word for a six-sided shape?" Because generally we assume there is an external word outside of ourselves that we need to discover and to learn how to use it. Of course, we have the option of going, "I want to talk about a six-sided shape, so I'll call them sixagons," and then go on to talk about sixagons. There's nothing to stop us doing this, but it's not what we instinctively reach for. But we could imagine an alternative manifestation where each individual creates all their own words and uses them, and then attempts to negotiate them with others. So why isn't language like that? Why is it the way it is? And what are the biological correlates or mechanisms that support these capacities? It is more than likely that language arose out of prior cognitive capabilities, and in particular capacities that support anticipation. And it helps to distinguish various types of anticipation, in particular proximate and long-range anticipation. All organisms really have proximate anticipation because they respond to events in the immediate environment, real time, some specific way. And this response that is winnowed by the evolutionary process to retain reactions that are adaptive. Whereas long-range anticipation is things that aren't immediately happening but might happen later. Some kind of preparedness for that. An example might be of the difference might be bumping into a solid surface. Every organism that bumps into a solid surface will react to that in some way and proximate anticipation would be the way they do react. Extended anticipation, in which the organism somehow prepares itself in advance for the bump, according to other influences that it registers and recognizes. What humans are able to do is to take anticipation beyond these levels and to, as it were, anticipate things that have never happened before but could happen. So we call this creative anticipation. It is out of this creative type of anticipation that language appears to derive. How would this type of creative anticipation arise? In the next section, we introduce the latency ratchet and the evolutionary circumstances that might favour it.